Let's talk technology, let's talk mobile security. Joined now by an old friend of the Business Breakfast, Senior Vice President of Sales Marketing Business Development for Dark Matter, Rabih Dabboussi. Morning, Rabih.
Good morning.
You've brought a toy with you today.
I did.
Brought with you a KATIM. Have we got a picture of that? Can we pop it on the website?
Here we go.
It's a new mobile phone. Now, to the naked eye, it looks like a normal mobile phone, but this has been described as the world's most secure mobile phone, secure enough even for heads of state to use it. And some of the functionality it's got, I'm trying to read from the list here, but it is all kinds of encryption, two-factor authentication, and more than half a dozen other security measures.
And it smells nice.
It smells nice. We were trying to figure out if it was just Rabih's cologne or the phone that smelled nice. We've figured out it's Rabih's cologne. But more seriously, this is a serious piece of kit. You were displaying it at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona last week and a half ago, and everyone wanted a piece of it, didn't they?
Yeah, so in addition to the cologne diffuser that we put in it, it was a really good week for us last week. We got a lot of attention. The mobile itself is actually a great innovation coming out of the UAE. We're very proud to have unveiled this platform last week. There's multiple areas we can talk about, but ultimately it's about our vision of securing the future by securing its technologies.
So give us an idea of what it does. It looks like a normal mobile phone. Is this, I don't know, a kind of LG or Samsung shell that you've taken and customized, or have you built it from the ground up?
We built this phone from the ground up.
Where did you build it? A factory in Al-Quoz, or did you build it in Asia?
No, it's actually designed by Dark Matter, both hardware, software, and applications, as well as the mechanics and the actual frame of it and the casing. So it's all developed from the ground up by Dark Matter, and it's manufactured in China.
Okay. So in simple terms, what does it do that makes it so secure that a head of state could use it without risk of being snooped on by the CIA or their various equivalents around the world?
Well, that's a good question. So let's rewind a bit. Today, the mobile platforms that are available, mobile phones, are typically consumer phones. So they use either an open operating system. They are manufactured by the major vendors for mass market. Millions and millions of devices are sold. And then in addition to this, they have an open platform for application download, for user applications and different functionalities. So we wanted to secure the mobile at all these three layers: the actual hardware, the operating system on top of that, and then the applications used over the mobile.
Well, I guess that you wouldn't produce something like this unless you saw a demand out there. So how have you actually assessed the demand for this, and what are your expected production numbers?
There's a couple of things here. So if you think about what's been happening in general in cyber domain, as mobile proliferation grew and more applications moved to the mobile platform, everybody, including individuals, head of governments, head of states, cabinet members, they are relying heavily on the mobile to be one of the main tools for them to engage and conduct their business on a daily basis. In addition to this, the mobile has become the default mode of communication. So given that in the past hackers used to target typically PCs and servers, the hackers of today and the future the younger hackers are very mobile savvy. So we expect more attacks on mobile platforms and mobile devices and applications than on servers and computers.
No, I understand that. Well, my question really was about how you've assessed the demand and how many you're going to produce.
So this is definitely not a platform designed for the consumer market. This is a mobile communication device that is targeted to heads of states, government officials, highly critical functions, and large enterprises with very, very sensitive data and communication needs.
That still doesn't quite answer my question. How many are you expecting to produce?
We will be producing thousands this year, and we expect that to be in tens, potentially hundreds of thousands in the next few years.
Rabih, is it so secure that you guys can't get into it? Because if I was a head of state or a government official from, I don't know, New Zealand, say, I would want to know that the people who'd made the phone couldn't get into it either.
Well, definitely. That's a good question. So we're addressing also the transparency in our approach. So if there is a government or a head of state that wants to use this mobile, We're very happy to engage with them and share with them the underlying infrastructure, software, do a source code review, and potentially build a custom application for them or allow them to upload their own applications. So the system is highly secure. We're the vendor. We're not the operator of this infrastructure. So we would offer the government to completely isolate their system from our network.
We saw issues with the iPhone and police being asking Apple to unlock the system, and eventually they found another way to do that. So are you saying that in a similar situation, nobody would be able to find their way into this KATIM iPhone except for yourselves?
Well, let me give you an example. So a couple of things that we have on the phone is in the fact that today if you connect the USB cable, by the way, I advise most people not to give it in the restaurant to get it charged because there may be somebody who's actually downloading all your content as they charge your phone. So we actually disconnect the data bus on that USB cable so that you only charge the phone. There's no way for you to actually transmit data or receive data from the phone. Another function is the fact that we actually encrypt in a very, very elaborate crypto algorithm all the data on the phone. We do cryptography-based authentication between the actual user and the mobile.
How do you make sure this phone's used for good and not evil then? I mean, Faisal's just texted and said it's an ideal phone for criminals then.
Well, I mean, you want to make sure that the technology gets in the hands of organizations, governments, enterprises that have the need for it. The fact that this could be stolen or used by someone else for criminal purposes or malicious purposes is always there. However, the system is locked, so it doesn't just work by itself. It is managed centrally, and it could be wiped out and deemed dysfunctional if it is stolen or falls in somebody else's hands.
So when they're released for general sale, let's say that's later on this year, what kind of vetting procedures will you put in place to make sure it's not an organized crime cartel in the Colombian jungle ordering 5,000 of these things to give to all of their operatives?
Well, one of the process of introducing it to the market is going to be to actually review the demand, which organizations, which governments, which enterprises, and make sure there's a proper process of vetting the potential clients for us.
So it won't be a case of walking into Carrefour and saying, I'll have 5 of those.
No, it's not going to be available for the consumers.
What's been the reaction to from Gulf telcos to a phone that they can't monitor in any way?
Well, we've had really good interest, actually. A lot of CEOs of the GCC mobile operators visited us, took a look at it. A lot of them actually attended the unveiling event that we did on Monday, the first day of Mobile World Congress. And they're very keen on partnering with us to actually offer this solution, because it's not just the mobile, it's the associated applications and tools behind it and the system, to offer it to the governments they operate in.
But does that mean weakened security because they want to know what's going on?
Well, mobile operators don't want to know what's going on. Actually,
the government's behind them,
the government, the telecom regulatory authorities. So as long as we put the right measures in place so you can track and potentially be compliant with telecom regulatory authorities and the local law enforcement agencies, then you should be fine.
What kind of price tag are we talking for this, Rabih?
We haven't released pricing for it, but obviously this is a highly niche market and designed specifically for the individuals and the governments and the enterprises that need the highest level of security in communications. We will be releasing pricing information towards the second half of the year.
I guess if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. The type of people this is aimed at, it's cybersecurity. I'm suspecting that price won't be much of an issue. Very quickly, Rabih, just before we let you go, while you're here, one of the big stories we're covering this morning is WikiLeaks and the CIA and the revelations there. And some of them about things as innocuous as Samsung televisions have reportedly been hacked so they can spy on us while we're watching Game of Thrones or whatever it is. Broadly speaking, what advice can you give to us as consumers sitting in our living room with our myriad mobile devices to make sure that we minimise the risks to ourselves from being snooped on. Not the kind of high encryption that you're talking about, just the kind of common sense measures with all the digital devices we use.
Well, just as we've talked about this before, it's awareness, which is most important. Do not download applications just for the sake of downloading them. If you think about it, you probably need only a limited set of tools on your mobile. Be careful with connectivity, so avoid public Wi-Fi and avoid connecting devices together where you feel that there could be a breach of privacy for you, whether at home or at work. And be cognizant of the fact that devices connected to the network can and potentially will be hacked. So be aware of what content, what data, what activities you do, because if you don't want someone to see what you're doing, just don't do it near one of your devices that are connected.
Have you got, like Mark Zuckerberg, have you got a bit of sticky tape over the camera on your laptop computer?
I do indeed.
Well, there you go. Well, if it's good enough for Rabih Dabboussi, it's good enough for the rest of us. Senior Vice President, Sales, Marketing, Business Development at Dark Matter. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for bringing your friend KATIM with us.